Welcome. Good morning, everybody. At least it's it's morning where I am still. Almost noon, 11:30. Let me know that you're here. I'm posting in the chat right now. Let me know you're here. Let me know what time it is where you are. Today we're going to be talking about essential oils and pets, which is a topic that I'm very passionate about. Though I guess I'm quite passionate about a lot of topics, but essential oils and pets, I found Animalio a number of years ago, and it has gotten me so incredibly interested. So go ahead and post in the chat. Let me know you're here. Let me know where you're from. Tell me about your dog or your cat, what kind of pets you have. I would love to hear from you. If you're watching this live, of course, you can go ahead and post in the chat. If you're watching the replay of this, you can post in the comments. I do get your comments. I have a bunch of resources for you guys today. I'm really excited to be here with you to talk about essential oils. And if you have not already joined me on Patreon, make sure you do check the link in the description. Join me over on Patreon because we're going to be talking even more about essential oils over there. So I'm just going to give you guys a couple of minutes to jump in here, and I'm going to take a quick sip of my tea to help calm me today. I'm just a little jittery today, guys. So I'm going to take a sip of tea. I'm going to let you guys get in here. Make sure you post in the chat when you do. Okay, so essential oils are kind of like a hot thing on the market, right? And I see you guys out there watching me, so go ahead and post in the chat and let me know you're here. Let me know where you're from. Let me know about your pets. Let me know what interests you about essential oils or what you want to learn about essential oils, because I have a lot to bring to you guys today, so we're just going to jump right into it. So the first thing I want to talk about with essential oils is that they are not all the same. So we really have to do our research when we're using essential oils. And I want to say that even essential oils that I use on myself, or that you may diffuse in your home, you still want to be kind of picky and selective about what you're using, even though your body can handle a lot. Our pets' bodies are a lot smaller than ours, so they can't handle as much. So if you have seen anything online, there are a ton of, don't do this, oh my gosh, you can't use essential oils around your pets, especially cats. Cannot use essential oils on or around your cats, and it's so dangerous. And quite honestly, if you're using high quality and true essential oils, there are actually a lot of benefits of using certain essential oils with your pets and even your cats. So we're going to talk about all of that today. I'm going to try to get it all packed in here, but I do see you guys watching, so make sure you are posting in the chat and letting me know that you're here. Because I really want to hear from you guys. There are a couple of reasons that I want you to post. I really want to hear from you guys. I want to know what's going on while you're here. If you have any questions, if you have any concerns, if you're just here to learn, post any of that. And I also want to make sure you can hear me. That's another thing. I want to make sure you can hear me. And also it helps the YouTube algorithm. So the more interaction I get with you guys, the more YouTube is going to show this video to other people to get additional interaction. And this is a really, really important topic. So yeah, I definitely want to make sure you guys are interacting. Make sure you hit the like button and post in the chat. Even if it's just to say hey and that you're here watching. That's cool. So you're going to find a lot of conflicting information online and a lot of horror stories, especially related to cats and essential oils. And it's understandable that people will be fearful, confused. Possibly a lot of people are even too scared to use essential oils at all because they think, they have a cat in the home. And that's understandable. But once you learn how to choose appropriate oils and properly use them, then, you can really have a good confidence in being able to use I have been using essential oils with myself and my pets for a number of years now. I honestly wish I had found them a lot sooner, but it is what it is. We can't go back in time and change that. So one of the reasons that we're seeing so many horror stories and there's so much conflicting information out there is because lately, in the past, 3 or 4 years, essential oils have really become a fad. Like, people started realizing that there is a huge market for essential oils, so there are a lot of lesser quality products that have been introduced into the market, and these are really what's causing the problem. And so the lesser quality oils combined with improper usage are really what is causing the problems here. So if you have ever used essential oils, go ahead and post it in the chat and let me know if you are considering it, if you're just curious to figure out, what they are and how to go about using them. Go ahead and post that in the chat as well. If you don't know what to post and you're just like, I'm just here to learn, go ahead and post hi in the chat, okay? That way I just know that you're here. So there are some very important factors to consider when you are using essential oils around cats, and we're going to actually be kind of diving in to the ADR, which is the Animal Desk Reference that Dr. Melissa Shelton wrote. We're going to be diving into this. I actually have read this book cover to cover. I don't remember every single word of it. I do have some pages marked that we're going to go over today, but it is really good for reference. So if you have a question about a specific oil, it's in here. If you have a question about a specific plant, it's in here. If you have a question about dogs or cats or birds, it's in here. Horses, it's in here. If you have a question about specifically using oils with those animals, if you have a question about a certain condition that your pet has, it's in here. It's covered. So this is a really good reference book, specifically on the use of essential oils with our pets. Now, we're all different species, right? We're human. Our dogs are canines. Our cats are felines. Birds are avian. We're all different species, but there are a lot of similarities between us as well, especially when we're talking about our dogs and our cats, because we're all mammals. So the one big difference, and we'll talk about it later, is actually the metabolic pathways that cats have. That's a big difference, and one of the things that we just have not learned much about. There just aren't as many studies out there with cats as there are dogs, and that's across the board. One thing that I really love about Animalio is Dr. Shelton. She is a holistic veterinarian, and so every single oil that she has available on the Animalio website, every single blend that she has put together, she has used this with her own pets and her own patients for months before it actually goes on the market. And like every single blend that she makes, because every oil that comes in can be different depending on the season it was grown, depending on what the water levels were like that season, depending on the sunlight, like every single thing, depending on pollinators that season. Like, oils change from season to season to season, because plants change from season to season to season. So before she even came out with this line of essential oils, she actually did tons of testing on all different species of animals. And because she's a veterinarian, she actually looked at blood work, and she had access to things that you and I normally wouldn't have access to. But as a veterinarian, she had access to all of the medical data on all of her patients and her own pets to actually test like the effects of the oils, and if anything, if it was working, if it wasn't working. Dean Webb is here. Hi, I have a Yorkie, a Havanese, and a Golden. Would it be safe to use peppermint essential oils around the house to keep mice at bay, or harmful to 3 fur babies? So I have actually used peppermint oil in the past, and I will look it up in here for you. Actually, let me go ahead and do that since you're asking the question. I have... So let me look up peppermint. I have actually used peppermint oil, but again, we're talking about you have to be careful of the quality of the oil. So let me just find peppermint. Okay. Okay, it says peppermint is an interesting oil. For one so common, it can be found on many extremes of the quality spectrum. So again, like I was saying, you really have to be careful of the quality of the oils that you're using around your pets. One must truly know distillation practices to obtain a very high quality and aesthetically pleasing peppermint oil. In the past, it has been used last in the sequence of oil applications, as it is a driving oil, which means that it appears to enhance the penetration of other oils. You're not specifically asking if it can be used on your pets. You want to know if it can be used in the environment around your pets. Often, peppermint will be applied after layering several other oils in a topical application. Peppermint's medical properties include anti-inflammatory, anti-tumoral, anti-parasitic for worms, antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal, gallbladder, and digestive stimulation, pain relief, and abnormal appetite suppression. It is indicated for conditions such as arthritis, obesity, herpes infections, papilloma, which are warts, candida, diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, and colic. As part of drip and rub recipes, it is likely to add enhancement to every situation. So, this kind of things are used for draws. So, yes, as long as you are, so basically there's a lot more in here on peppermint. I just wanted to kind of give you a rundown of what medically it's used for. So peppermint, again, as long as we're using a quality oil, we're okay to use this around our pets. I only use Animalio around my pets because it is the only veterinary grade essential oil that is on the market. Now, I have a pest control company come out and do organic pest treatment once a month around our home, and they use peppermint oil as part of their treatment. What I will say is I don't know how they source their peppermint oils, and it is used as part of, a pesticide treatment, so it may not be the highest quality oil. What I do in that case is I don't let my pets out for an hour after they have sprayed, which gives it time to dry. So when my pets walk out, they are not getting that anything wet, absorbing into their skin. So that is one thing that I do. But peppermint is actually okay, and it is a good deterrent, like you were saying, for mice and other critters. Not ants, but spiders. It's a good deterrent for spiders. So thank you for your question, Dean, and thank you so much for being here. But we also want to, when we are selecting our essential oils, quality is just of the utmost importance. And, hi baby. One thing that I really want to say, Dr. Shelton did an interview with Dr. Karen Becker, and Dr. Shelton, again, is the holistic veterinarian who created and owns Animalio. Again, this video is in no way sponsored. She doesn't even know I'm doing this video. I just happen to love and use Animalio essential oils, and it got me really, when I started using them, I became like super, super interested in medical effect, like what we can use essential oils for medically, even more so than just like how can I make my home smell better. Excuse me. But she actually said in an interview with Dr. Becker, she said, selecting essential oils for medical use with an animal is very different from selecting an essential oil to make your bathroom smell nice. So these are like two different things. When we're thinking of medical use and we're thinking of making our home smell nice, we are not thinking of the same things. However, personally, anything I use in my home to make it smell nice needs to be of high enough quality that it's not going to harm my animals. For me, personally, that's what I teach people. That's what I personally believe. She also said when she started teaching other veterinarians and pet parents how to use essential oils, she became increasingly concerned about the oils they might choose for use. For example, if they picked a perfume grade lavender oil, they could cause harm to an animal. Even the best instruction in how to use oils can't ever overcome selecting the wrong oil. So that really is, I mean, while we need to know appropriate application, we really, really need to be very concerned with the quality of oils that we're using. So let's go back here. One of the reasons is because our pets metabolize things differently than we do. While our dogs have a very similar metabolic system to us as humans, they are much smaller. So, according to Dr. Shelton, cats have the same enzyme as other animals to metabolize, the liver enzyme specifically, to metabolize whatever is going through their system. They have that same enzyme that other animals do. And by the way, we're animals, so we are we're mammals, and we're talking about the same liver enzyme that we have. But it takes longer to metabolize in the body. So that same liver enzyme that we have, cats have, but it takes longer to actually complete all the metabolic pathways. It says, in fact, cats can take nearly 39 hours to eliminate drugs from the body, whereas a dog can take that same medication and metabolize it in under 9 hours. So we're talking about cats and dogs, right? Specific, because we're talking about our pets. And of course we can talk about avian later, or talk about birds. Those are, they are actually a whole other deal. But so a dog can take 9 hours to metabolize a drug that they have taken, whereas a cat is going to take 39 hours. So this is one of the reasons, and actually one of the main reasons, why synthetic chemicals can be much more harmful to our cats, and why we should absolutely not be using synthetic essential oils around them at all. So you definitely want to be, again, very concerned with the type of oil that you are using around your pet. Now, one of the reasons that I love the ADR, the Animal Desk Reference, is because Dr. Shelton covers literally like any and everything. Anytime I have a question, the answer is in here. You can also find a lot of information on her website, animalio.info, which is linked. It's in my link tree, but I also included it as a separate link in the description of this video as well. Because when you are browsing around on the website, you can look by species. If you're looking for something for your dog, you can look by blends that she has available. You can look by single-use oils. Personally, I tend to buy blends that she has already created, because why reinvent the wheel? But let's talk a little bit more about the safe use of essential oils. So I'm actually going to pull some information out of the ADR for you guys. And again, if you haven't joined me on Patreon, go ahead and check the links in the description, and make sure you do join me on Patreon, because we're going to have even more conversations about essential oils over there on Patreon. I'm just kind of trying to give you a brief overview today. And kind of get your head in the right place about what you really need to know when we talk about essential oils. Specifically when we're talking about cats, we were talking about horror stories, right? And while we do see horror stories of essential oil use in dogs, we see a lot more with cats. And again, the metabolic pathway that we were just talking about is one of those reasons why, because there are so many subpar oils out there calling themselves essential oils. A lot of them aren't even essential oils, but without regulation, they can say whatever they want to say about them. So even though there are tons and tons and tons of studies that say that there are a lot of essential oil oils out there that are toxic to cats, and I'm using air quotes a lot because when you actually dig into the research and you dig into the studies, what you find is that what is really happening with these cats is that subpar oils are being used. So the quality of the oil is not what it should be. It's not a medical grade. And the application or the use of the oil is also just like, who in their right mind would ever do this? Like, if you would normally use 6 drops of an oil, why would you use 6? Like, these people are using like 60. So they're like bathing their cats in these synthetic fragrances that are being labeled as essential oils, and bad things happen. So if you are using medical grade, veterinary grade essential oils and you are using them appropriately, we find that there are actually a lot of really great stories out there about the wonderful uses of essential oils with our pets. And quite honestly, I'm only one of the people out there who love Animalio as much as I do. So in the ADR, the safe use of oils, Dr. Shelton says, in my research on how and if essential oils present a toxicity concern in animals, I find a few things to be quite consistent. In almost all reports of deaths or illness, the essential oil used is almost always of a questionable quality. In one feline case, a lavender essential oil was used, which was obtained online as supposedly high and therapeutic grade. However, when 4 ounces of such an oil is available at the going rate of $14.95, I can guarantee you that this is nowhere near a lavender essential oil that should be used for neither man nor beast. Combine that with the fact that it is sold and housed in a bottle with a rubber dropper, and we have an even more worrisome combination. I have witnessed many essential oils degrade and explode the rubber bulbs at the top of the bottle. Any company selling essential oils with this setup is clearly not within good industry guidelines. So that's just one example. We're seeing what we really need to know is that we're buying a quality grade oil, and unfortunately, you know, there are people out there that would rather make a buck than care about what is actually going in and around your pets. If you only take one thing from today's video, it is that using veterinary grade essential oils with your pets is going to be the key to your success. The second key is using them appropriately, but it doesn't matter how we use them if we're using poor quality oils. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. So go ahead and post in the chat if it does. I do want to mention, and for those of you who have been following me for any length of time, you know this, but if you're just stumbling upon this video, I am not a veterinarian. I'm a pet parent coach and positive reinforcement dog trainer, and I just happen to be very passionate about the health of our animals and want the best, not just for my animals, but for your animals as well, which is why I'm here to talk to you about essential oils with your pets. And yeah, so I just needed to kind of readjust that camera a little bit. So I did have one more? I thought there were 2 more. Oh, yes, there are 2 more. So far we know that the metabolic pathways that our cats use vary from the metabolic pathways that we use and that our dogs use. Whereas we know, you know, our dog's liver can metabolize a drug in their system fairly quickly. Our cats take 4 times as long to metabolize that same amount and same drug, right? So there is a difference in how our dogs and cats metabolize things. However, you're going to find on the Animalio website specifically how to use different oils for different species appropriately. And that is really, like, that is information that is invaluable. But again, more often than not, when we're talking about, Kim, thank you so much for chiming in and letting me know that that makes sense to you. Sometimes I kind of like ramble on, and I really try not to, but I want to make sure that I'm getting the appropriate information to you guys in a way that makes sense, of course. So when we talk about essential oils and pets, more often than not, people are more freaked out about their cats than they are their dogs. And that's understandable considering all of the conflicting information online that is being like force-fed to people. So another thing that I have highlighted in the ADR, which is from Dr. Melissa Shelton again, one factor that is true for cats is that they are notoriously deficient in the cytochrome P450 liver metabolism pathway. This particular pathway is utilized for the metabolism and excretion of all sorts of chemicals from their body, including traditional medications. A cat's liver just does not metabolize items in the same manner or efficiency as a large dog or a human. This fact has made cats unique in veterinary medicine, no matter what the substance may be that we are exposing them to. For example, certain traditional non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, or NSAIDs, can be used in dogs, but if given to a cat, has a high likelihood of causing significant damage to organs and even death. So again, that is why it is so incredibly important to make sure that we are using the appropriate quality of oils in the appropriate manner with our pets. And I mean, I don't want to say especially our cats, but especially our cats. I hope that makes sense too, because I would never use something on my dog that I didn't think was completely 100% appropriate and safe. And in the same regard, I would never use something on my cat that I didn't think was completely appropriate and safe. And to know that these essential oils can make a huge difference in my pet's life, in my life. In fact, right now, I am kind of recording updates weekly for what will hopefully be a video on this channel. I don't know when it depends on how things go as to when it's going to go up, but I'm using a blend of oils available from Animalio. It's called Dump-A-Lump. We went to the vet with Kim last month, or the beginning of this month. It was a few weeks ago, and she has a growth on her back, and she's had it since we adopted her, but it has gotten bigger. So we had her check it again, and she said it's totally fine. It's completely superficial. There's nothing to worry about. So that made me feel better, right? So I knew then that we were good to go. There wasn't any underlying condition that we needed to be treating first, because that's the most appropriate thing, right? We're not treating symptoms. We're treating whatever like underlying thing is going on, the disease or the illness, whatever it may be. And then the symptoms go away, right? So we're not treating symptoms, we're treating the disease. But since I found out that this lump or growth on her back is completely superficial, I then felt very confident that we didn't need to do anything. However, I started using Dump-A-Lump, which people have had amazing results with that I have seen. And I am already noticing, and before I started using it on her, I started using it on me, because I have a spot on my side here as well that I've had it for many, like 20 years probably almost, but it has gotten bigger over the years as well. And so I started using it on myself before I started using it on Kim, not because I didn't trust it. I completely trusted it, but I wanted to see how it felt, and I wanted to see, like, you know, make sure that nothing weird or funky was going to happen. I wasn't feeling any tingling or anything. Like with a peppermint oil, right? If you put peppermint on your skin, you're going to feel a tingling sensation. And while that's not bad, because that's normal for a peppermint oil, I wanted to know whatever feelings or sensations were to be had before I put it on my dog, just so I knew. That's me. And I'm not saying that has to be you. But it has been 2 weeks since I started using it on Kim, a little over 2 weeks since I started using it on myself, and I am already seeing huge changes. Like, both growths that we have significantly decreased in size. It is absolutely amazing, and quite honestly, a little bit of magic, I think, because the world around us provides us with so much useful stuff. Like, if we think about even just us as humans, not even animals, but certainly animals, how we used to live before we built these big cities, right? Like, we lived off the land. We used what was available on this planet, on this earth, that was just available to us, and growing in fields and forests, and we got along pretty darn well. Now, that's not to say that, like, antibiotics aren't great. They are. I definitely appreciate advances in medicine, but we shouldn't forget, I guess, about all of the wonderful things that the earth also provides us and that plants can do for us. So I did have one other section, because I know earlier we went over peppermint because Dean had a question about it, but I did just mark out lavender here, because lavender is very popular as a fragrance for many things, and I know I've talked about it a handful of times already on this channel, because I use anything that I buy commercially. I try to get unscented whenever possible. Oof, sorry, my nose itches. I try to buy unscented whenever possible, and where I can, what makes sense, when it makes sense to me, I actually will make my own homemade cleaners and things like that. And I use essential oils when I'm making those cleaners as well, especially like our all-purpose cleaner. I actually use the Citrus Clean from Animalio to make our all-purpose cleaner. If you're interested in that, there is a video on my channel. I don't have it linked in the description, but I can link it in the description, and I'll include it over on Patreon, because I'm going to be making a post over on Patreon about essential oils today. So if you're not already following me on Patreon, that may be one reason you want to. So go ahead and check the link in the description for that. And then I'm just going to give you a brief rundown of what Dr. Shelton talks about with lavender. Okay, lavender. Whew, let me get my voice back. Lavender is one of the most adulterated and synthetically created essential oils on the market today. Very few available lavender oils are pure enough to be called medical grade or qualify for use in animals. Lavender is incredibly mild and well suited for use with all species of animal. It has been used extensively in even the most fragile of creatures. Lavender is especially indicated for skin conditions, wound healing, ringworm, and other fungal skin infections, for muscular concerns, for calming effects, for burns and frostbite, and high blood pressure. Lavender also has significant research with dementia and is highly indicated for use with cognitive dysfunction, anxiety, post-traumatic stress, poor sleeping, and other emotional concerns. Oddly enough, I often hear reports of people who say that lavender should not be used around asthmatics, while research clearly shows that lavender suppresses respiratory inflammation and is well indicated for allergy, respiratory irritations, and asthmatics. My theory on this mindset is purely that the cautions have been equated to poor, adulterated, extended, synthetic, or fragrance-grade lavender oils. Now, of course, she goes on to how to appropriately use lavender with birds and cats and dogs and larger species. But lavender is probably, like she said, one of the most adulterated fragrances out there. People use it as fragrance. And so when we think of lavender, a lot of people have even a false sense of what lavender actually smells like, because they're only used to smelling these chemically created synthetic fragrances. I can tell you right now, I don't have my lavender plant behind me. She's over by the sun right now, but the lavender plant that I have smells incredibly amazing and so subtle. But when I think of like a lavender maybe that is being used in a laundry detergent, that is such a harsh fragrance to me when I know what lavender actually smells like in a real plant, right? So we do need to be careful of how companies use, because they're using synthetic fragrances, they're using very adulterated and poor quality fragrances, and these are what we know to be not so great for our pets. However, when we're using veterinary grade or medical grade oils, they can have amazing results in our lives and in our pets' lives. So I do hope today's video was helpful. We've been just a little over 30 minutes now, guys. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and post them in the chat now. If you don't, that's great. Not a problem. I do hope that this was helpful for you. We will be talking about essential oils a little bit more over on Patreon again. If you're not already a patron, go ahead and check the link in the description. Also, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you look down there at that subscribe button and it's red, go ahead and click it and turn it gray. When that happens, a bell will appear. Click the bell, select all notifications. That way YouTube can notify you every time I post a new video or anytime I'm going live on YouTube. And thank you guys so much for being here. I see Dean and Kim. Thank you very much for chiming in. If you're watching this after the fact, maybe you can post in the comments any question you may have. I'm happy to help you out. And again, just make sure you check me out on Patreon, because that's a really good way to get, one-on-one answers and extra content, new content that you're not getting anywhere else. So again, thank you so much for being here with me today, guys. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you and your pets. I'm just one of those people that I don't know your pet, but I love your pet. So if you have any questions, make sure to reach out to me. And I'll go ahead and end this video. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. Happy spring. Yesterday was, I think yesterday was the official first day of spring. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Sunday, rest of your weekend, and I'll see you guys later.